Primary School is it's officially now a two formentary school, but a growing two formentary school. So we've got some year groups that are two formentary when we were a bulge one formentary school, and now we've got slightly more two formentary classes than we have one formentary classes. But we are a growing school in that sense. Clearly lockdown has impacted on every primary school. The catchment we serve is very, very mixed. When I first became head at Castleton Primary School, it was described to me as, well, three different ways really. Working class without the jobs, a war zone, and a school with a little bit of everything. And of those three descriptions, I much prefer the last one. We definitely are a school that have a little bit of everything. We've worked on behaviour management and values and ethos, and we're a rights respecting school. We are the only gold rights respecting school in the borough, and we're quite proud of that. And those values and ethics kind of are embedded through everything we do in school. The rights mean a lot to the children, and they will talk quite passionately about them given half the chance. We definitely are a school with a little bit of everything. The catchment in the terms of housing around our school, we have quite a bit of private housing, but also private rental, as well as council rental, and we have a lot of pupil mobility. So some of our families stay with us a very long time, for generations, in fact, and some children are more short stay than that. But we try and do the best we can for every child while we have them, to make a difference for the child that we've got in any way we can, with especially academically, but also with their personal, social, and emotional well-being as well. Unfortunately, in that mix of a little bit of everything, children who've experienced some kind of trauma or deprivation also figures in that mix. But it's also that mix that gives us that wonderful inclusion ethos that we have, where every child is valued for what they are and what they can do, and that's celebrated. And I think that's the little bit of magic about Castleton. Children are really proud of other children's successes, and it's partly because they're all coming from such very different starting off points. And it's also testament to how much the rights mean to them, really. And that's basically it. We've got a staff of just shy of 50 odd staff, who are brilliant, who are utterly amazing. We work with a great many partners to make sure the learning kind of works for children, and a lot of social care involvement as well. Staff work amazingly hard to go above and beyond for our children, and our parents are really respectful of that and value it, and they're kind enough to say so. A really supportive PTA, a really supportive governing board. Yeah, I think that's probably us.
Sounds fantastic. How long have you been at the school?
Oh dear. I've been here since September 99.
Good Lord. Fixtures and fittings.
Well, the thing is about Castleton, it evolves every few years. So the school as it exists now is not the school I came to in September 99. This is about its third incarnation, and it's the challenge that presents itself that keeps people here, including me, but I'm certainly not the only one. Staff tend to stay for longer than they intended to.
Yeah, we had a headmistress the other day. She'd been at the school for 15 years in Worcester, and she inherited a mantle that was not good, but they're striving to get places, which it sounds as though you are too, which is excellent.
Yeah, our ambition is definitely there.
Sounds fantastic, it really does.
And then if you're talking attainment and progress and Ofsted terms, that we're kind of consistently good and aspiring to better, basically.
Fantastic. Is that the whip of your chairman of governors, or is it a team effort?
Oh, definitely a team effort.
Team effort and partnership all round, really, which I'm hoping Miss Shake and Mr. Taylor will back me up on.
Absolutely.
Behind the things. Right, so have we got something to look at with the children, or do you want to talk about the project that you've got on hand?
Could I quickly ask a question? You clearly have got a very rich social mix of pupils. Am I allowed to ask what the ethnic mix is, roughly?
It's probably about 32% EAL, but that 32% is made up of about, the last count, 19 languages.
Gosh, yes, yes, yeah.
It's the same situations they had in Worcester. I think they had about the same. It was either 19 or 22 different languages that they were addressing and coping with things. Okay, who wants to go next?
If we can share the video here, that would be...
I've allowed
great.
you to share the screen now.
Brilliant. Right, I'll see if it works its magic.
I'm Sam from Year 6 and I'm here from
So what is science?
I think science is when you're trying to find out the meanings behind everything.
Okay.
Investigations.
Excellent. And what do you enjoy about science?
I enjoy doing the investigations because you get to see it happen and then see how it works.
Okay. Do you want to show me a piece of work that you're proud of? Right, and can you both explain what's going on in there?
In this one, we had to figure out how we see objects, which is when the light reflects off the object and the white rays go into your eyes, so you're able to see things.
Excellent.
Mine is about where this one's microorganism here, this one is the plants, and this one's animal vertebrates, and this one's invertebrates. So in here we have to figure out which one didn't have a spine and one that did have a spine.
What science work do you want to show us?
Material.
And what did you learn?
I learned materials are different colours.
And what did you learn?
That all materials can stick to things.
Hi, I'm Ava from Year 5.
Hi, I'm Luke from Year 5.
And today we're going to be showing you about science and what our favourite lessons was and why.
Science is about learning new things that you haven't discovered yet.
And without scientists we wouldn't know what was in the world.
My first experiment was marvellous machines, where we had to invent our own machine, including a lever, pull it out game.
My favourite one was where we had to learn about metamorphosis and we did life cycles about different animals. For example, mine was a caterpillar, so it was an egg, a caterpillar, then it goes to a chrysalis, and then it turns into a butterfly.
What is science?
So if you had a topic on insects, you would find stuff about insects and you would write down what they eat. and we find stuff about certain insects that other insects can't do. So some insects have their own specials, things that they can do.
Excellent. Can you show me something that you've enjoyed doing in science and explain why?
I enjoyed this because we were finding out the food chain of certain insects and what they eat. I enjoyed this because we went outdoors and we was exploring out on the field looking for some animals, and then we was writing about them.
The children who spoke then, you had a real mix of children who've been with us some time and children who've just been with us a few weeks, in actual fact, and children who are quite high-attaining, articulate children, and children who actually suffer from developmental trauma who have additional need. So you have quite a range of our children there, and that they were all brave enough to speak, I think is wonderful. Well done, Miss Shake and Mr. Taylor.
Thank you. You could really tell how positive they were about science and learning in school. Yeah, they really wanted to talk and they were engaged, and they had so many different lessons they wanted to share, and we just had to pinpoint one particular one that they really wanted to share with everybody. But you can see the enthusiasm from the children. They really do enjoy learning, especially science.
Yeah, that came across. Thank you.
That's one thing that always comes across when we speak to the children about science, is their love and enjoyment of the subject and the activities and learning that they get to do in that subject always comes across as a real strength in our school.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's quite fascinating. As I say, giving a cross section, it's quite important. And I was explaining to Brent that this exercise of doing this online presentation is that previously we would have one of our members visit the school and attend one of your assemblies and spend 3 or 4 hours with you and get a feel for what the school's all about. But the objective of doing this and being able to record it means that we can show it to many of our members, and they get a real feeling of exactly what we're achieving in terms of our modest amount of money that we're giving to you, and the impact it has on the children, because it is quite heartwarming that they get that much enthusiasm given primarily by your leadership, but also the fact that they are inspired to do so many things with something that is quite simple. And sort of down in the south here, south of Watford Gap, as they say, and one isn't always aware of what goes on outside the sort of M25 corridor. So it's really very inspiring to be able to see the children and see what they're doing and what they're achieving. So it's a great privilege to be able to give you the money that we're going to be able to do for you.
We are inordinately grateful, but I have to say that the passion and the enthusiasm those children show are in direct correlation to the passion and enthusiasm that the teachers and the staff show. And you've got 2 excellent examples of that in front of you.
I think you're quite right on that, and it is, but it's also a leadership point of view. It's the person at the helm that is encouraging people to have that sense. And I have to say, you must remember this isn't a one-stop call. If you've completed this project, once it's done and we've put it to bed, then you can always come back to us and ask for some more. So, or you can go elsewhere, because as I was explaining to Brent the other day, the livery movement in London is 110 companies who collectively gave away 70 million last year, in 2019, and they have just produced the figures for 2020, and the figure is 74 million given to charity. That's just from the 110 livery companies, irrespective of the mentoring hours that are given free of charge by companies like the Marketeurs, will help people with websites and marketing and promotions. the fishmongers and the mercers. I mean, there are no end, and you know it does take time to go through the website and find what is going on. And I sent Brent a link to a competition that we've found out about. In fact, it was the Prime Warden's daughter who found it. The ESSA Kids, Barbara, that I sent it to Brent for them to look at, because that's science-based as well, I think. Should be quite interesting. Anybody got any more questions?
I'd be interested to ask Brent about the makeup of the list of items you've requested. It's quite varied.
Yeah, quite in keeping with the school. I thought it was an opportunity really to perhaps engage children in aspects of science in a way that they haven't been able to do before. So there are some more generic items on there that you might expect to see in any science cupboard. But there are some more interesting ones that would allow children to access and to see science in action, kind of in the wider world and in real life. So the ones that particularly interested me is the weather logging station, which obviously has immediate applications in a science lesson. But again, we want to expand our extracurricular reach in terms of science. So it has tremendous capabilities and possibilities that we could use with any class for a number of different purposes. Another one like that is the bird box with a camera, which just completely changes the way that you might teach life cycles, for example, or that you might look even at seasons or explore humans and other animals. It just is a completely different way of letting children experience science, and it just does wonders for children's scientific capital that we wouldn't have been able to do without this grant, because these are items that you might put on your wish list, but as you know, budgets are tight and get tighter every year. So it's thanks to this grant and to your help that we were able to offer that kind of science.
What birds is it aimed at?
I'm not sure the exact dimensions, but I'm assuming it's fairly small, so possibly sparrows or blue tits, perhaps, I think.
So we might see some photographs.
Yes, and it's a webcam, so you could even see live footage. We could see eggs hatching, we could see feeding. It's quite exciting.
Very exciting. And what's an energy ball?
Good question. It's something I've been after for a while. It's a really visual way of explaining and demonstrating how the sun works, and it demonstrates to children, particularly in year 5, because that's where they do space. But me and Hira are in the process of setting up a space camp that's going to be called CASA. So it'll be the Castleton Aeronautics and Space Administration. But obviously that's been set back a little bit because of COVID. So things like that will really help to explain and help children explore science. So the energy ball is a representation of the sun, basically.
I see. Right. Fascinating.
But there's lots of other things on there. Microscopes is something you take for granted, but it's not something that we've been able to offer to a whole class. So that's quite exciting as well, letting children look at things much more closely. And binoculars, looking at things far away, will be exciting too.
It's very interesting to see what they want to look at under the microscope.
Yes.
We had a school 2 weeks ago and their children wanted to look at their uniforms.
Yeah, that's real science.
Looking at the fabrics and things.
But you've also got some plant and animal specimen slides.
Yes, I thought that would be a good starting point for the microscopes.
Very good. That's a very imaginative, interesting mix.
Well, me and Hira came up with that list. We spent quite a bit of time deciding exactly what we wanted to do, and we think we came up with a pretty good comprehensive list.
I'm beginning to wonder who's going to get the most excitement and benefit out of this.
Well, it's like Miss Torrance said, it stems from the teachers.
I think you've got a whole path of adventures planned between the two of you.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Yeah. Can I just ask how many children there are in the school?
Currently, including the nursery, we're just shy of 300. And we're a fully two-form entry school. We'll be getting close to 360. 370.
I noticed some of your buildings seem to be quite old.
1902, the school was built. It was actually commissioned with children 1903. We've got some old 70s additions to the building. And then we've had a recent build of 4 classes that you saw on the video that I'm really pleased that they're in keeping with the Accrington brick type structure of the school. So it's really hard to tell from the outside that they are new build in the best way possible. But we're lucky to have the size of school that we are. A bit TARDIS-like, really. If you look at us from the road, we don't look quite as big as we actually are.
And is some of those old buildings a challenge in itself?
It's always an interesting challenge to manage the health and safety and the keeping maintenance costs of a Victorian building. We've got very large classrooms, and that means there's lots of brightness coming into the classrooms, lots of sunlight, lots of space, but the upkeep and the maintenance, won't lie, really, it's quite a challenge.
And
but it's worked really hard to make it look wonderful for the children. And it's usually the first thing visitors comment when they come in, how wonderful it looks.
Can I just ask, is there any plans to share any of this? In some of the schools that we've supported with microscopes, for instance, they've also shared some of the equipment with other schools, the local schools, to widen out the benefit that receives. Is there any plan to do anything like that with have a close association with anybody else?
Yeah, we as a school are part of the RUS Collaborative, Rochdale Urban Schools Collaborative, and that's a collaborative of 10 primary schools. So my first offer would be to those schools, and then wider if there were schools of interested in it. We could offer it. There are 6 other collaboratives in Rochdale, so we could make the same offer to them. But I suspect if Brenton hears enthusiasm is anything to go by, I might be having to prize it out of them.
Yes. I understand that there's only so much that we can do, but from the point of view of
to answer your question, we do have ways of groups of people to share it with and expand that knowledge and share it.
Of course, but you may like to, not that I'm giving you any hints here, but were you to think about making some future application, as Paul suggested, might be a possibility once you've got these under your belt, worked out the possibilities, it might go down quite well if it were to be something on the basis of there would be more schools involved in whatever equipment you wanted.
Oh, now that is exciting, Mr. Taylor and Mr. Shea.
We're part of
thank you, Mr. Reid.
We're part of a more informal space camp hub as well, so it might be that if they scratch our back, then we'll scratch theirs, kind of thing.
Yes, you can see from our point of view that we like to see that we can reach as many people as possible. And if that's possible to do that outside of just your school, then great. But I mean, obviously, the first priority is to support the people you've got there. But it might be a way of thinking for the future. That's all.
Oh, it definitely is. Space Camp and the RUS Collaborative would be the 2 ways I think we'd go, isn't it, guys?
Yeah, I would say so.
How many children are in the 10 that you're associated with?
Oh,
roughly.
Well, in the collaborative two of those schools are 3 form entry, so you're talking 400 to 500 children in those. You'd be easily hitting thousands of children in that collaborative.
I mean, the whole object of Glassing Society as a project, which has been running 30 years, it was last year, it was been running, is to excite children into the wonders of glass, which is obviously our mantle.
Yeah.
And hearing that sort of information of how you might share and increase that interest and knowledge of glass and what it can do is something that is obviously very interesting to us. We did have one school who had microscopes some years ago. They're in Islington on the east side of London, having their own difficulties, I have to say, not dissimilar to yours. And they came back to us and asked recently for some more microscopes, but the ones that they can plug into their computers, which meant that rather than one child sharing one computer, they could get one microscope, they could get 3 or 4 huddled around a computer screen. But I would think you'd probably have to get the computers first.
Yes, that would be our first challenge.
Well, it was very interesting because I've been reading something that came today. Again, this is about doing research for you. Is that there is a livery schools initiative, and it's an initiative that was set up because they'd identified the shortage of digital equipment for schools. And they've raised over 150,000 and supplied computers and equipment to places in Leeds, Birmingham, Bristol, all over the country. And again, this is something that, with a bit of homework, if you looked at it, you could actually sort of see if there was something. You have to tailor what your requirement is to what their criteria is. But the opportunities are there.
That's good to know. Thank you.
Yes, there is a livery company of information technologies, for instance. So
good to know.
The master of which is a glass seller.
The current master.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, now that is a match made in heaven, then, isn't it?
Could I ask Victoria?
Yeah.
You have problems in getting your governors? Because one of the schools we spoke to the other day said that they had real difficulty in persuading parents to be on the governors.
No, I don't think we have that difficulty. We've got a full governing board at the moment. Myself, I'm a parent of 2 of the boys in the school. We have 5 other parent governors, and when we do have a vacancy, there's always someone that steps forward. It's a nice community where everyone wants to be involved and be supportive. So we've got quite a nice group, and then we've got community governors as well, from like the councillors and the local vicar from the CV church down the road. So we're quite a collective bunch again. But no, we don't seem to have a trouble, touch wood and all that. But no, we're okay. We're very supportive, and we really appreciate everything that the school does for the children.
That's super. Thank you.
I do think Mrs. Fee is selling herself rather short there. The reason why we don't have any trouble getting hold of parent governors is because she's quite proactive in recruiting parent governors.
Yes, I'm quite persuasive when I need to be.
So that's why we have a lot of interest in posts when they do come up.
Yeah.
Do you tend to get parents involved with some of the projects that the children are doing?
When we can. Yeah. Yeah.
Anything to develop that partnership with parents and develop that love of learning and love of science.
And do you think that all these parents are going to have a greater appreciation of all your efforts and work once they return to school?
Definitely. Oh, it has been every day's a school day for the parents at the moment.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think a massive appreciation for everything that teachers do is going to be, maybe one slight positive that comes from the whole situation, because parents really do appreciate, what must go on behind closed doors during a school day to give the children the experiences that the parents know now that they can't give themselves that easily at home. The experience and the wealth of knowledge that the teachers bring, and that passion and enthusiasm. You're sort of born to be a teacher, and it doesn't suit everybody. So, and I think parents will really realise that and really will appreciate everything that the teachers do for the children to help them progress and understand the world around them. So, yeah, it'll be telling, I think.
And you're all geared up for the 8th of March, are you?
Raring to go.
Can't come soon
Could
enough.
I just carry on?
I was just saying it can't come soon enough. We're ready for the 8th now.
Yeah.
Schools are built for children, and that people and that to have that buzz back with everybody in is amazing. They're not the same places with fewer children.
No, looking forward to having them all back and having a full classroom full of children wanting to learn.
Have you had many in any event because of their frontline workers and that sort of thing?
Yes, we're anything between 40 to 50% of our current school population in any way, either because of their families of key workers, or they're vulnerable. We deem them vulnerable in some regard. So we've been quite fortunate to get almost all of our vulnerables and special needs children in, along with the key workers. And also quite fortunate that it hasn't overstretched our capacity within the size of our building as well. So we've managed it safely.
Yes, having those big classrooms, Victorian, helps, no doubt.
Oh, it really does.
Annette, I heard you saying that you have some with special needs.
Yes.
Could you expand on that a little? I've got an interest. My stepson, who is also a member of the company, he has Down syndrome. So
right, okay.
I prick my ears up when I hear special.
Because of our inclusive ethos, we have a reputation in the borough for doing well with children who have additional needs, whatever those additional needs are. So right now we've got 9 children with an education healthcare plan and 37 who are receiving some kind of additional or different school support for their special needs. And that could be for dyspraxia, it could be for dyslexia, it could be for some social pragmatics thing, it could be for some support for their behaviours and understanding what they're doing, it could be for some speech. It's predominantly, a lot of them are speech and communication issues, and children who are showing tendencies of being on the autistic spectrum, but they may or may not have a diagnosis. And next year, in the next academic year, we're being consulted on for about 3 children arriving with us in reception and with a diagnosis of Down syndrome for them. So that will be, we've had Down syndrome children before, and children with we do have children with quite severe and complex needs, but we haven't had a Down syndrome child for a good few whiles out. So that'll be a relearning curve for us should those children come to us.
That's lovely. Thank you.
Just so you know, we're a maintained community primary school, so that word community means a lot, but it also means if we have the space and we feel we can meet their needs, those children come and we do our best.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Could I just ask, what does the term maintained actually mean? Are you directly under the local education authority?
Yes.
Right, understood. Yeah. Well, I think probably the time has come to draw things to a close. We've taken up a lot of your time. Thank you for a fascinating presentation and for manifesting to us the wonderful enthusiasm you have for your children and for teaching science. I mean, Brent and Hera's enthusiasm is tangible. It just exudes. And clearly you are very successful in that regard. And clearly too, you run a very happy school. And I have to say, we are very proud to be associated with you in this way. I don't have a check to hand over to you, but I believe matters are in hand to make an appropriate bank transfer.
We are tremendously grateful because, in the words of paraphrasing a certain advert on television, every little really does help, and we will certainly put it to very good use.
Well, we are assured of that, and thank you so much, Lindsay. And thank you, all four of you, and to have the chair of governors with us as well is a special honour.
Oh, well. Thank you.
So from the Glass Sellers, thank you for this afternoon, and best of luck with all the equipment, and we look forward to seeing videos of birds hatching out of eggs.
Everybody enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
Bye.